Right folks, how's it going? It's me, Descattys, if you didn't recognise me. I got a bit confused with Marshall Reef. I've come out today to do a video basically on what I've got on my back, so stay tuned. I reckon, you know. Right, so when I was out the other week with Barney and Tim on outside, they were talking about, or especially Barney was talking about a YouTube channel called On Free, and basically I remember listening to their podcast. It used to be, or it was, the guy was affiliated with Survival Dispatch, I think it was called, and it was a podcast that I used to listen to. And basically what Barney and that was saying was that this fella does a lot of sort of like, you know, likes to reduce all the kit that he's carrying, you know, sort of going a bit more sort of ultralight and, you know, blah 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 blah. And I kind of love it. I kind of like doing that, like testing it out. I mean, I kind of call my loads sort of like semi ultra, so they're about £50. Not really, they're probably about, mine are about £22 with the pack that I'm using at the moment, which is the Mystery Ranch one. But since watching a few of them channels, yeah, I agree with some of the stuff that he does, but that's him. I'm not like, you know, going to get into some sort of argument about it. But what I want to do is I'm going to try this out. I'm going camping tomorrow, so by the time this video is out, I'll be camping, and I'm going to try it out for a couple of nights and see how I get on with it. So let's see. Now this mat, I wouldn't actually be bringing it with me. This is one of Dave Fry's mats, and I've literally brought it out to use it to lay some of the kit out, because it's got a nice orange surface, nice brown waxy back, and I can also sit on it as well. So this is basically one of those hill people gear rucksacks. I'm not sure what one it is, Tara, blah, doesn't matter. But I managed to acquire one of these probably about 3 years ago off a guy Carl, who was selling it a little bit cheaper for me at the Bushcraft show. So I took advantage of it, because I tend to take this pack out a lot of me when I'm running. I put my waterproof in it, drinks and stuff like that. Hence as well, if I quickly show you the harness at the front, I've got a pouch here which obviously holds one of my gel bottles, and in there I've got some electrolytes drink, so I can suck on the go, misses. Right, so first of all, if we just go to the, I don't know what you want to call it, the front of the pack or the back of the pack, you've got these two straps here, and simply all I've got there is a windproof and a showerproof jacket. Okay, bearing in mind, right, this is summer here in the UK, so as much as you get the rain and everything else, you know, this jacket's quite suffice for me, sort of like in these current weather conditions, as it were. Okay, on the bottom here I've got a pair of softy trousers, and these are basically quilted trousers. These are the old British Army ones. They're reversible, so you can either have them in a desert or the olive drab. They weren't expensive to buy, quite cheap, and they're quite a quilted, obviously quite a quilted trouser for sort of like during the colder times. Now it will come apparent in a little while. While I've actually got these trousers with me. So if I continue then, on this side I've got my titanium grail. Doesn't really need a lot of introduction unless you're living under a rock. It's obviously got my cup, and then what I had made for me quite recently by a guy called Pete Berwick, who's sort of like pretty good at knocking up the old lids, made me a lid for the actual grail cup. I'll take it off and I'll show you. So I've got a means of obviously purifying water and obviously carrying water. So then I'm limited then to how much water I'm carrying on my, or capacity of water I'm carrying on my person. and then there's the lid. So chuffed. I contacted Grail regarding these. This is the smaller titanium Grail, and they don't actually do lids for this size, they only do them for the bigger one. So Pete done his magic and he's made me one. I'm more, you know, I wanted it, obviously, yes, the lid does stay on, but also I wanted it for you know, obviously just to keep, you know, the balls of water even a little bit quicker than what it normally does. Okay, so I'm chuffed with that. And then obviously the other thing I've got in there is a titanium spoon, a nice long handle one. Okay, so now in this side, the reason why I brought the ferro rod out, I wouldn't normally be having this on me. Okay, I'd normally wouldn't be having this one. I'd normally have my my little Nomad knife, and that'll be on my hip. Okay, but I just brought this out just for, you know, just to sort of, you know, if I did it, you know, alternative fire still, if you like. And then the other thing I've got in there is a little pocket Silky Boy, the smaller version. And then the only other thing I've brought out, which really I could keep that out, is because I do my charging, just for charging my phone up, is obviously an Anker charger. Okay, and then you've got one pocket this side, and obviously one which accommodates the Grail. Now, before I start showing you the rest of the kit, alright, now understand this is just something I like to do. I love to practice doing things like this. Okay, if you watch some of my other videos, there's myself, Barney, there's Wilderness Nomad and Wilderness Pilgrim, John, and we normally set ourselves little tasks where we come out sort of during the colder months, just after Christmas, normally December, January, and then we set ourselves challenges where, you know, we do stuff with limited kit. I'll stick a card up, and I'll also stick one down in the description so you can go and have a look at that video that we did back in January this year. And we normally come out and do stuff with no sleeping bags and all that sort of stuff, just to test ourselves, test our skills, and just have a bit of fun doing it at the same time. Alright, so this isn't going to agree with everyone. Everyone's not, you know, oh, I don't like that idea, oh, that's up to you. I don't want to get into a urinating contest over it in the comments below, if I do get that many comments on it, if the video does get circulated that much. But I'm just sharing you with some of the stuff from watching a couple of those videos, and then also coming up with my own mindset of what I've got inside this pack. Now also understand as well that my knife is around my neck. Okay, this is like my knife that I tend to use a lot, that you see me using in the video. This is by Wilder Ways here in the UK. Okay, it's got a sharpening stone on it. Also got pocket bellows, which are brilliant, and a piece of fat wood, and that's all attached to this. Right, so let's take the jacket off then. Go inside. Kablam! Now the first thing you see on opening the pack is my tarp. Now when I was watching those videos, the guy tends to use Helicontex ponchos. Now I looked at the Helicontex poncho. You see me use them in the past, but I'm 6'3" tall, and using a poncho to sleep under for someone like me, I'd have to have my legs curled up, snugged right in there, and that wouldn't be comfortable for me at the length that I am. I'm very long-legged, more like a giraffe I suppose. So I looked at the Dutch Army poncho that I've got. That's slightly longer, but again that's not going to be great for me. So then what I went with was my Superlight by DD. You know, that's 3x3 almost, and that's a hell of a lot more comfortable and long for me rather than using a poncho. So in now I've got the tarp. It packs up quite small anyway. I've got a ridge line, okay, that's in now. Oh sorry, that's just a guy line just to pull it out, and then I've got a ridge line as well. So I've got the option to either use that one as a plough point, or I can even use that as a plough point as well, with 4 pegs. And then the aluminium pegs that I've got are in here. I've got 3 of them, one for each corner if I decide to do a plough point. And then obviously the tie out of the guy lines and the paracord and everything is just in here. So I've got just 2 lengths of cord, okay, in this little shelter system here. Okay. Right, so the next thing I've got, now he didn't, again watching that video, There's no stove or fuel or anything like that in what he's carrying. I think he's just doing his all by fires and stuff like that, which is great. But sometimes it's nice that, especially for me, you always see me knocking up a brew. I like to just, you know, just because it's me, I've bought a little bottle of meths. Okay, these are like makeup bottles. Tim put me onto these some time ago. Get them off eBay. You buy them in a pair. They're a great little bottle, but they're nice and flat, and they hold quite a substantial amount of you know, whatever it is you're using. In this case, it's methylated spirits. And in there, I've got my stove. So my stove is just the one that you see me using quite a bit when I've got my smaller kit out, and that's the Avenue, little titanium. Crikey, it's light as anything. And then one of my little stoves in now. So that is the stove. Okay, and a little mesh bag that I made. It ain't one of Dave Fry's ones, as you can see how bad quality the stitching is. Right, so the next thing I've got in here, I've got a gilet. Now this is from Decathlon, and this was it's not a bad old jacket, not a bad old gilet actually. I don't mind having my arms exposed, but obviously as something with a bit of extra warmth, and I've got this. Okay, if I want to wear it in bed, you know, if I'm getting cold, which I probably would put it on anyway. It's also got a hood as well, and that's quite a nice little garment, that is. Packed away into this little waterproof bag. Obviously it stands to reason you don't want to get all your quilts and that all wet. Right, so the next thing I've bought, okay, being that say if I'm caught out for around sort of, you know, 24, 48 or even 72 hours, I bought myself a couple of meals out. Okay, these are just, one of them's a boil in the bag, and this one's just one of the freeze dried Summit meals where you just add the water. In this little bag here, this is just what an old Arcus bag. I've got a mosquito net, head net, got some micro cord, head torch, Leatherman, this is the Wave, and I've got a few extra little snacks, because obviously if you're caught out in a bit of an emergency situation, it's nice just to have, you know, something nice just to, you know, something nice to eat. And so these are the old mini baklavas, and they are absolutely gorgeous, packed with loads of calories and sugariness and goodness and everything else, which is just nice. It's more like a bit of a comfort food with a little bit of sweetness going to it as well. With my brew kit, you've obviously seen that normally I carry quite a lot in the brew kit, but with this what I've done is I've just literally just dug out some coffee bags for there, and I'll just have my coffee black. Little snack biscuit, nice chocolate cover ones, again just that nice sweet, you know, just a bit of comfort food. Toilet paper for the inevitable, you know, back end evacuation. And then finally in there I've got toothbrush and toothpaste. Yeah, I could go without having a wash, but it's nice just to have a nice, you know, just to clean your teeth. Certainly boost the morale when you're a little bit, you know, when you're a little bit down in the dumps, as it were. So those items all go in there, in that little bag there. Okay. Probably the heaviest thing out of everything that's in there. Then the other thing I've got is my Soul Escape bivvy. Used this a few times. Now it stands to reason then why I've got the jacket, why I've got a gilet to put on, and also the trousers. So if I'm starting to get cold, I can then, you know, when I'm in this with all my clothes that I've got on as well, hopefully that'll give me a little bit more warmness. Now they can get a little bit condensated, but it can also depend on the person who's actually using it. But yes, I've had condensation in it one night, and then another night I didn't. And these have got vents on the end as well, so you can open up slightly. Alright, so I do recommend these actually. And then finally in the bottom what I've got is I've got, as a form of insulation, this is just a little narrow pack. This is from Highlander, and again it packs up, you know, it's quite a nice, you know, with the combination of the bivvy bag, I've got insulation and I've also got some sort of protection as well. under the tarp. So I've got something to sleep on, something to sleep in, and something to sleep under, as they say. Alright. Now also with the food thing, there's plenty of fruits and everything out at the moment. Blackberries, there's pears, there's plums, there's damsons, there's even hawthorn are starting to make an appearance, as well as even elderberries. There's still fireweed out there, so there's still quite a bit around to ash keys as well. There's still quite a few bits around to obviously subsidise maybe some of the foods that I've got. Okay, yeah, they're sort of reasonably high calorific value meals, those freeze dried ones. You'll probably be, you know, it's not a bad thing as well to obviously slow down as well, you know. I mean, what's the old saying, you know, if when you do find yourself in that kind of situation, to stop, sit down, maybe smoke a fag, smoke a cigarette, make yourself a brew, and just then reconcile your plan, what your next move's going to be. So yeah, so there it is. That's sort of what I've got in there. And as I say, I'm going to do a camp. I'm going to do a couple of nights with just what's in here. As I say, it's not for everyone, but also it's a nice little challenge, maybe just to reduce some of your kit and to come out maybe a little bit lighter than normal. When I first weighed this, it come in at just over £10, and then when I put the charger, the mat, and a couple of other bits in there, it come up to about 12 to 14, which in the grand scheme of things still isn't bad. So if I took the charger out, and the other couple of little bits and pieces, the mat and stuff like that, then maybe it'll be suffice. So we'll see. Anyway. So thanks for watching that one, folks. If you get this far into the video, be interested to hear people's opinions or what they think of things like this, of my loadout, and maybe what some little ideas they do, that what people do themselves. Okay, so you can share with the group, share with the other viewers to the channel, and who leave comments, etc. All right, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.